Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out to our Expo of Learning and budget conversation and to learn a little more about the school. So we are going to have students tonight talking about the school, and I think that is really the heart of what we do here at Richford Junior Senior High School. We try to have students learn by doing whenever possible, and I'm very, very proud of this class, and I will talk a little bit about them in a minute. But we're going to kick off the evening with a budget presentation with our our business manager, Morgan Daybell. He's probably the best business manager in the state, so can you welcome him up here, please?
Thank you for having me. Normally, Superintendent Lynn Cota is with me in these meetings. She's in Sheldon tonight, and then we're both racing to do this again in Montgomery, so we're a little bit fractured, and you get the B team from me tonight, but you get the A team because we're also working with Ms. Erickson and Ms. Bordeaux's statistics class to get some help presenting the budget as well. So you're going to hear from some of the students in this part of the presentation, and then later with the state of the school. Where's my technology? And we're going to start, I think, with Eli is going to come up and talk about this one.
So there have been many staff and student from Richford who have been celebrated recently. To start off, 3 middle school students won their first ever time competing in the Vermont Principal Association Geography Bee. They won first place in states, and that's a big accomplishment. Next up, Mr. Barkley, who is our technology support person, won the Above and Beyond Award. Mr. Marlowe won the FNESU Educators of the Year Award. And 4 students participated in the drama production. Tristan Whitestone won the green and gold, and Kenzie Marcy got first chair for clarinet in all states. Sage Bohannon and Kenzie Marcy represented our school at the Hobie Leadership Conference.
This information is also in our annual report. You have some printed out copies on the table, and they will probably be hitting your mailboxes in the next few days. We're going to skip a couple here. I think we have Garrett coming up.
So this is the overview of the district, amount of students in the district. So as you see, red is Richford, green is Enosburg, and then here blue is for Kohala Career Center, as blue is out of district students. And yeah, as you see, around 140 total here, around 660 there, and around 400 over there from pre-K to 5th, and then 6th grade to 12th, and then high school, sophomores and seniors. Yeah.
And so I think what's interesting on this slide is we have a perception that we're a relatively small system up here, especially with some of the conversations we'll have later around Act 73 and the fears that people have around school closure. Franklin Northeast is actually one of the larger systems in the state, our 2, Enosburg, Richford, and Northern Mountain Valley. And so a lot of what you hear going on in the rest of the state isn't necessarily relevant to us up here. I'm going to ask Caitlin to come up and do a little bit.
This is the actual numbers for how many kids are in each school from the past 5 years, and then the projected students. So Enosburg High School, Richford High School, Enosburg Elementary, Richford Elementary, and then the whole district as a whole. Yeah. And then this is a graph. As you see, we're kind of like staying even, not really going down. And isn't Vermont like supposed to go down, or it's projected to go down? So this is a good sign.
Yep, exactly. Most of the state is seeing a decline, especially in southern Vermont and in eastern Vermont along the Connecticut River. And then I think that was it. Mackenzie's coming up.
So the first three articles, you'll see the candidates' names on the ballot. All seats will accept writing candidates. This is for electing. And you'll be voting on a budget of about $25 million statewide. Per pupil spending was estimated to go up about 6.8%. Our increase of 2.6% is less than half of this. Also, as you will see later in this presentation, our per pupil spending of $11,000 is one of the lowest in the state.
And we'll talk about those numbers a little more later. One of the things that we like to talk about is how different schools are and how different the job is. So I was schooled in the 70s, and the teachers who were doing a good job were trying to prepare me with these skills for the jobs that were coming. This is very different from what employers are looking for today. Much more, I think, what we call soft skills, analytical thinking, resilience. We talk a lot about leadership, motivation, skills that are a lot different than what was taught to me as a high school student, even as a college student. So like it or not, the world is changing and the needs are changing. And the work that we've done on the Portrait of a Learner is really trying to get ahead of that and trying to position our graduates to be ready for that, that work world. And again, we're preparing them for a work world and an adulthood that we are unable to predict. And we're trying to get away from preparing them from something that made sense for those of us who were cutting our teeth in the 80s.
This is our budget consideration, and they are going to cut 8.5 positions out of the FNESU district. But rather than taking positions from people like teachers and stuff, it's going to be positions that haven't been filled in a long time. So like there's just a random position in a school, but nobody's been doing that job, so we're just getting rid of it. Our health insurance is going to be increasing, but that's like an overall Vermont thing, like all over the state. Our insurance is increasing. It's just what's happening with the world, I guess. Anticipated increase of 9 tuitioned high school students, meaning that they are anticipating that next year our freshman class will have a total of 9 new students from the surrounding schools like Montgomery and Berkshire, and stuff like that. And the next one too, I think.
So I just kind of highlight back the health insurance. The budget's up $260,000, but the health insurance line is up over $500,000. So that's really the big driver that we're seeing and a lot of other systems are seeing.
Okay, so back to the staff cutting and stuff. We're not replacing like an admin assistant or anything. We're not really replacing anyone. We're just taking away jobs that are not being filled currently.
Tristan's coming up. And so a lot of these teaching positions are primarily at Enosburg High School. There's some here at Richford High School, and then the paraeducators are mostly at the 2 elementary schools.
So I get the job of breaking down these fun graphs. So this is how we are deciding what we buy and how it's kind of distributed among the things. See, 2/3, this red section is the employees, specifically like the people paying the checks of the teachers here who are, working with the students. Then the blue here is spent on other things such as special educators, buses, what's the word? Like cafeteria stuff. The jobs that aren't specifically paid for by here, they're brought in from other places. And then the green, I can't read that from over here. Supplies. So those are supplies, paper, pencil, that sort of thing. And then this is how it's like allocated within the school, to my understanding. Let's see. Green is that direct instruction. And then my understanding of it is that the blue portion is the administrative sort of supportive areas of that. And that's both supporting students and teachers. So that's giving services that can help teachers perform their jobs better. That's also, what are you smiling at? And that's also stuff like counseling for students, like in the offices for the principals and all that. What else is on there? That's about it. Also maintenance is on there. That's like 14%. Yeah. So next.
Enosburg and Richford School District is consistently one of the lowest spending districts in the state, which is shown right here in the blue lines on both graphs. At the proposed budget level, it is likely that Enosburg and Richford will be the lowest or second lowest operating district in the state. The 5 districts below the blue line are non-operating districts, which means that they tuition their students out. Who's after
And
me?
so because, Ms. O'Brien, because we're lowest spending, we're very scrappy in terms of chasing down grants. I won't spend any time on this slide in front of you, but there is information in the annual report and on our website for that. One highlight, and this was last year, the new wood chip plant here at Richford High School was largely grant funded. Our facilities director found a few sources of money to help defer the hit to the tax base for that. Very quickly, some high-level stuff, some questions that we get when we go out on these budget meetings. The first one is around positions that are housed at the supervisory union, and to compare our system, which is a supervisory union, to a school district, and MVU is the example here. We actually have 3 entities. So Enosburg Richford is separate. They run the 5 schools here, the 2 elementary schools, 2 high schools, and Cold Hollow. They have a separate board, separate employees from Northern Mountain Valley, which runs our 4 K-8 elementary schools, separate board, separate staff. And then because neither of them have a superintendent or a superintendent's office, we have another entity that sits on top of that, pays my salary, pays your special educators, transportation, food service. And so this system is much more complex than MVU, and that's just a factor of how these districts were created. Because of that, we try to hire people at the supervisory union so we can use them more flexibly. So a good example of this is English language teachers. We have 1 in our SU. If we did not hire them at the SU level, NMV would have to hire 1, and Enosburg Richford would have to hire 1, and we would have more staff than we really need. With them working for the SU, if we have start the year with a lot of families in Berkshire that need those services, and they move halfway through the year to Richford, that teacher can just follow them seamlessly without having to hire somebody for that second district. And then lastly, we like to highlight our alternative programs, and there's information in the annual report, but these are programs for students who are unable to be educated in our schools. The per pupil cost for these internal programs that we've created is somewhere up to $60,000. When we were sending these kids out to programs across the state, the tuition alone was between $100 and $150 for some of those placements, and the cost of getting them to those programs was between $40,000 and $60,000. So just the transportation is what we're spending for the whole package. Not to mention that the students who are likely to be in those programs for the entire of their education are now being served in their communities where they're going to live on graduation. Those kids that are in the programs where they just need a short-term visit there to go back, be prepared to go back to their sending school, they're also in the community, and we can manage that transition a little bit better. Now we're going to talk about tax rates, and I promise to make this as painless as possible. We're asking you for permission to spend about $25.5 million. We know that we're going to get about $6 million in grants at the tech center or in tuition payments coming from those 4 towns in NMV or elsewhere. We also know that we've got a chunk of money that's left in the bank from last year, And so we don't need to raise taxes to cover that amount of money. So we take the money that we hope you give us authority to spend, the money that we know we don't need to get from other sources, and that comes to what's called education spending, or just under $19 million. This is the amount of money that if this budget passes, I'm going to basically write an invoice to the state and say, we need you to send us $19 million. They're going to use that figure and the number of students we have to come up with a per pupil spending amount. That was the graph that Brooklyn was presenting, the green chart that showed us on the bottom. And again, it's $11,430. There's more information on all these steps on our website, so I won't get into the details. We don't actually have 1,600 kids. We have about 1,000 kids, as was mentioned earlier. But we get to count kids with different needs differently. So kids who are not hearing English at home, we get to count as a bigger number because we know as a state that those kids cost more to educate. This 11,000 number is the number we use to compare ourselves with other districts, and it's divided by what's called the yield, which is a number that's set by the legislature every year. We use a prediction that the governor makes on December 1st here, and that gets you to a district level tax rate. So at the district level, we're projecting $1.29, which is actually a half-cent decrease from the current year that we're in. And I'll stop briefly there to see if there's any questions. Usually it's stunned silence, and I'm okay with that. And I will say, in case I forget later, that this yield amount is a very fluid number, and it has a big impact on what your tax rate is. So the numbers that I've seen in the legislature this week include some buy-down money that the governor has offered to put on the table. He's looking for something for that, but it's at least in play, as well as some updates that the legislature has from how things like sales tax and rooms and meals tax are doing, which also supports education. So the numbers that I'm seeing today would actually drive this rate down by another 7 cents. Unfortunately, we won't know what that number is by the time we have to vote on the budget. So most of the districts use this number that's put forward by the governor at the beginning of the year.
So Morgan, just to clarify that point, you're saying that this, with all the information you have, is worst case scenario, and with all the information we're receiving, that it's probably going to be a lower tax rate than what people are seeing.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And it's an election year, and so they're not going to go up on your tax bill because they're going to be looking for your vote in November. We then take that district-wide tax rate, which is applied to both towns, and we apply what's called the common level of appraisal, a number we get from the tax department. And this is a number that tries to make everybody pay their fair share across the state. And so what the tax department is doing is they're looking at the number that is on your tax bill that comes from your grand list, which in Enosburg's case is maybe 20, 25 years old. In Richford's case, it's much more current because you just went through a reappraisal here. So that $200,000, the state thinks that that house in Enosburg is actually worth $329,000, and they want these folks to pay based on that $329,000. In Richford, because that grand list is now more accurate because of that reappraisal, that $200,000 house is actually pretty close to fair. They think it's $221,000. And they do this for every town in the state. And what that does is that is kind of the explanation behind why this $1.29 tax rate turns into $1.49 for Enosburg, goes up, but it actually goes down for Richford to just over $1. There's a lot more on the website on that. And I can stick around and go after it afterwards if folks want, but we do have good resources that sort of walk you through that. And then we're going to go to Eli.
So these are the tax rates for Richford and Enosburg. The large difference between the two tax rates is due to the difference in accuracy of the grand list. You can see where Richford's tax rate dropped in fiscal year 24 in Enosburg when after the reappraisal. We would anticipate a similar drop in Enosburg when that reappraisal is completed. So premiums for fiscal year in 2018 is 86 cents, and premiums.
Oh, those are my notes. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. So we talked about health insurance and that increase. If you think of what your tax rates have done, health insurance, if it started here in FY18, would be somewhere up here in 2026. So that's really one of the huge trajectories for what is causing budgets to go up across the state. This chart is in your flyer. The two charts on the left are projections on what people who pay based on their income will see in terms of their tax rates. And you'll see that who pays based on their income, we're actually anticipating a decrease for almost all of them, all in Enosburg and many in Richford. The charts on the right are projections for what people who pay solely on the property value. So they're making at least $115,000 in terms of household income, what that change would be. And again, to the point that Beth made, this is really that worst case scenario. If the numbers come through as the legislature is kicking around right now, my anticipation would be that all of these numbers would be at 0 or negative for the change.
So I just want to talk about this slide a little bit. Yep. So I think this is confusing for people because everybody gets the same tax bill and they don't ask what anybody's income is. So this money is corrected when they do their taxes. And if your accountant does your taxes, you might not realize that you're getting some of your property tax money back if you make under $150,000. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
And there's a separate form you need to fill out. I think it's called HI 144. Everybody should be filling that out even if they think they're close. I get paid very well by you, thank you, and I still get a credit. So it's really, in our communities up here, it's really pretty far-reaching. I'll talk about Act 73, and I'll again try to do this quickly. This was a law that was passed in June of last year, and it is the one that everyone is talking about in terms of what new school districts might look like. There's actually a lot in this law. A few things that schools are going to feel more immediately are the state is going to come up with graduation requirements that are set statewide by the end of next school year. There's going to be a statewide school calendar a year after that. And so that will, I hope, will be good because we find that if we call a snow day and the district next door doesn't, there's a lot of kids or teachers who can't make it to school. That's a similar situation if you have different calendars in bordering districts. You've got folks who now have to be home with their kids because they have a day off of school rather than here educating ours. It also limited the number of schools that could receive high school tuition. So that's for those more impactful for NMV. Caitlin chooses to go to Richford. The number of schools that she could choose to go to has shrunk with this law. And so we're hoping that you will see more students in the future in Richford and Enosburg High School. There are class size minimums that are in effect now. They are a little more impactful for the K through 8 grades. For 9th through 12th, for core classes, there's an 18 student minimum that is now part of law. The Agency of Education is trying to put in some rulemaking. They don't really yet know what they're going to do with this requirement. There are a lot of exceptions to this. We don't count AP classes. We don't count driver's ed classes. We don't count tech classes. If there are classes that require some special equipment like chemistry or physics or whatever, they're not counted. If you have French 1, 2, 3, 4, we don't count French 4, so whatever that highest class is, we don't count. And we don't count AP classes. And there's probably some others.
I don't think they count concurrent dual enrollment, anything that's like a flexible pathway. So
Yep.
we don't do AP here, we do concurrent dual enrollment, and they don't
Gotcha.
count that either.
Yeah. So it's something we're watching. It's something that's going to be impactful. Again, probably much more for those schools across the state that have 3 kids in each grade rather than the ones that we're running here. The topic that's taking up the most conversation now is around governance changes. So in theory, the legislature is going to draw a new map and pass it in June, and that will consolidate districts. So likely instead of the Enosburg-Richford district and the NMV district, we will be a single district, or we may be a single district combined with MVU, or maybe a single district combined with everyone in Franklin County. We don't know yet. But that step is really about consolidating districts, having fewer superintendents in the state, fewer of me in the state, and it's not yet talking about schools. The legislature asked a task force to draw the maps up for them for a starting point. They didn't do that, and so they're really struggling now to figure out how to come up with these maps. Those new districts would start for the 2028-2029 school year, so it's kind of, in our world, right around the corner. New school boards would be elected before that, so it would be in about a year and a half they would have to come up with new school boards for those. And before they do that, they need to come up with who's going to elect those school boards. So would Richford and Enosburg together get a few seats? Would Richford and Montgomery get a few seats? We just don't know what that'll look like yet. And with those changes, there will also be changes in the way we fund education. Right now, you, the voters, get to pass whatever budget you want to vote, and the state is obliged to come up with that money. 48 other states do it in the other direction, and this seems to be the way that we're going in Vermont, where the state is going to say, okay, you need for those 1,600 weighted kids, we're going to give you $15,000 per kid, and you're going to have to live with it. If you want more than that, there might be a mechanism where you can go to the voters and say, we need to spend more because of X, Y, and Z. But if you spend under that amount, you're just going to get the money. So for us, lowest spending district in the state, we're likely to see more money, and we're likely to not have to do the budget part that's keeping you from seconds in the kitchen. And you should get up and get seconds if you want.
Yes, there's plenty for seconds. If anybody wants food, go up.
And so another money article on the annual meeting warning. This is one you see regularly. We look at that money that's left over in the 2024-2025 school year, and we ask for permission to take some of it and put it into a capital reserve fund. And so the amount of money that we didn't raise in grants for the wood chip plant here, we were able to take out of capital reserves, so it's not coming out of your annual budget and causing those tax rates to kind of spike from year to year. And then the vote is on Tuesday, March 3rd. You'll be voting at the town hall as you usually do from 10 to 7. You are allowed to vote early starting on March 11th. You can go to the town clerk and vote right there. You can go to the town clerk and take a ballot and mail it back if you want, or you can call them and have them mail you a ballot. And I think I'm going to stop there, and I'm happy to try to answer any questions. Happy to have the statistics class try to answer any questions. All right, and if not, we've got a school presentation, which Mrs. O'Brien's going to cue up.
I told you he's one of the best business managers in the state. Not many people can take something that complicated and make it understandable for most people, and he does an excellent job of that. So next, we are going to have the students from our social issues and statistics class come up, and they are going to run through most of this. What I want to say is that this is a fine example of what we do here. So we are going to be presenting work throughout the building, but it's just a small snippet of what we do. Like, for example, the civics class did a mock trial that the kids put hours of work into, and you aren't going to see that. Miss Ryan's group started fake businesses or mock businesses, and they made money, and they fundraised, and they put that money toward prom. Those are two examples of things that happened this semester that you are not going to see here tonight. We are trying to do more and more integrated classes like this class, where students actually learn about things in the real world. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to them. I'm going to be chirping in like I did with Morgan because I can't help myself. But I'm going to turn it over to them to do the majority of the presentation.
I don't know how to start it. Hey. Free. How do I start it? Just go. At Richford, we have our mission and vision, and our mission is all members of the RJSHS community will develop the skills and knowledge to meet personal, community, and global challenges in an ever-changing world. This is talking about how, like, Richford really wants all their students to be prepared for the real world, because we never really know, like, how it's going to change, what it's going to be like. So our mission is for everybody who graduates high school should be able to adapt to it. Our vision is RJSHS will continue to be a pillar in the community and work to be instrumental in its continued growth and development. This is talking about how like our energy and like our kindness from the school can like spread out and work through the community, and we can have like a good image on not only the town of Richford, but the high school especially. Here's some pictures and examples of how we have completed the mission and vision in past. This is Mr. Marlowe. He won Teacher of the Year this year. And he just shows how the energy in the high school can really affect how other people see us. This picture is my class. The effective speaking class went down to the elementary school, and we read books to the little kids. It was really good. Everybody enjoyed it. The kids were really engaged, and they like us going there. They keep wanting us to go back. But it just shows how we're like effective in the community. This is a picture of the juniors. They made products to sell, and they had like their own little business. And this shows how they have community skills and entrepreneur skills that you do need in real life. This picture is of Michaela. Last year, she won the Presidential Recognition Award. There's only around 30 kids who are candidates to this award, let alone 3 in the Franklin County area. You can achieve it for many things, such as art, academics. She got the award for her community service, and she had like everybody knew her. She was really nice and kind, and
She had a positive impact on our school.
yes, and that helped our show how we wanted them to graduate. Let me flip it.
If you are in the front lobby, you'll see we have a quote for the year, and it's the same quote we had last year. We hope students develop a passion for learning. If you do, you will never cease to grow, by Anthony D'Angelo. And as Caitlin just said, we want you to continue to learn, because the amount of knowledge in the world is changing all the time. When you do a job, you're going to have to learn new skills. And so we want you to be leaders of your own learning and to know how to learn. rather than learning just a random skill. So Caitlin, I don't know. Oh, is it in here?
Yeah, you just hit it, and then hit the arrow, other way, that one.
Perfect. So these are our star scores. This is fall, and that is winter. And you'll notice the lines are going up. The green line is math, the blue line is literacy. And so oftentimes now you'll read on social media, everybody loves social media, about how a school ranks. And oftentimes they're solely taking that information based upon how students do on standardized tests, so the Cognia. The number one indicator of how well a student does on a standardized test is your parents' socioeconomic status, how much money your parents make. We come from an area where people don't make a lot of money. So oftentimes they're not meeting the standard when they start taking these tests. But by the time they take the test in high school, we're about at the state average for literacy and math, which means we are growing kids. We're growing knowledge, we're growing confidence, and we're growing the ability to set goals and to reflect on your progress and take steps toward improving next time. Teachers also use this information to drive the instruction that's happening in their classroom. So we don't expect kids just to take the test and waste their time. We want them to realize that we're really, really using the information and we're proud of the growth they make. They're proud of the growth they made. When I started here 10 years ago, we had among the lowest test scores in the state of Vermont. No, we had the lowest test scores in the state of Vermont, not because it wasn't a good school, but because students didn't take these tests seriously. And I'm proud to say that is not true anymore. They take the test seriously, and I think they do their best and try.
Okay, this is all of our project-based and experiential learning. So one thing that we did for project-based learning is learning off projects. It's pretty self-explanatory. We just all pick a project, I guess, and we do the project and we learn from it. Experiential learning is learning from our experiences, so like just putting yourself out there and learning from it. So one thing that the middle schoolers have done is Market Day. They've been doing that for a couple of years. It's been going pretty well. They pick something to sell and then they make it, and they have to use skills that they've learned in class, like math class. If they're baking something, and then they have to measure and use math to measure for that. And as they were talking about in our English for Tech class, we created fake businesses and sold things and used the money to donate to prom. And then we have youth sports volunteers. So like our soccer team, we go to the elementary school's jamboree every year, and a bunch of us ref at the soccer games. And then that's a picture of them reffing at basketball games. Reading to the elementary school, our effective speaking class, for one of our projects, we picked picture books and we practiced reading them, and then we went and read to the little kids. And then community lunch, they're who are feeding you right now. We do a community lunch at the Legion normally.
It's at the Methodist Church.
Oh,
We moved.
okay. Every couple of weeks, once a month. It goes pretty well. I think there's normally pretty good turnouts. And then the blood drive, Richford National Honor Society holds a blood drive every year. This year we're holding 2. So we had one in November and now we have one in March. We have pretty good turnouts from that. And it's just good to see like everyone come and to donate blood. And then Green Up, NHS also does Green Up on Green Up Day. But we also invite other students to do it, so it's not just NHS. And then caroling, NHS and student council go caroling at the nursing homes in town during the holiday season.
All right, so flexible pathways. these are super important. They've really defined my time here as a senior. I first made use of it by going to our technical center called Hollow Career Center. I took pre-tech. That really showed me what I was interested in. I was like, okay, I like the business part of this. I'm going to do business. And you're a business. Then I said, okay. Now I've done some business. I want a little bit of college classes. So I tried some college classes with our dual enrollment. And I took psychology, and I found all these like super cool, unique classes that really aren't accessible in the normal high school setting. Like effective speaking was a little bit harder than the average class I found here. Psychology was a lot harder than the average class here, and it was super interesting. And that defines, I think I'm going to minor in psychology at college. So it like really sparked that interest there. Certain credits that I couldn't take in my schedule, I was able to take online classes to fill out. I was able to completely cover my digital, what's that called? The digital arts? Digital literacy?
Computer literacy.
Computer literacy. I did that in half a semester with an online class. It was super easy. And I'm taking an ELO, extended learning opportunity, because, I mean, there's a lot of reasons. One of the reasons is that I already know half the skills in the class that would give me it. So instead, I'm going to have some time in the workshop at the end of the day making stuff with wood, and I think that'd be super interesting. I'll be able to prove my learning another way. And let's see what else I've got here. My schedule's on classes, early college. That's pretty much it. There's just a ton of things. The guidance counselors work with you, and it's been a great opportunity for me to really apply myself, and it's enabled me to go to my first pick college, UVM, so I'm pretty grateful.
So can I just add a couple of things? So Flexible Pathways is a statewide initiative, but he explained some things that we do a little different here. All of these things are open. The dual enrollment, the early college are open almost anywhere in the state. We have a wider variety of things that we offer, and our dual enrollment classes that Tristan was talking about, some of them are concurrent dual enrollment. So a lot of schools will do AP. We've made a conscious decision to offer concurrent dual enrollment because if our teachers have the credentials and they're teaching the high school class, we can just increase the rigor, and they don't have to pay an extra teacher, so that students can get like a $1,200 class for like $200. And oftentimes VSAC will pick up the $200 if they're income eligible, and most of our kids are. All students, all juniors and seniors in the state of Vermont get 2 vouchers for college classes, to try college classes. We suggest that our kids use those for things that they want to take elsewhere on a campus, online, that are going to cost $1,200, and maximize their opportunity to get a lot of credits. We've had kids graduate up to a year early who have maximized their opportunities. Most graduate a semester early, and some of them just use the credits so that they can take an easier course load, not as many classes transitioning into college. So instead of taking 18 credits your freshman year, maybe you're taking 15. And so it has helped many of our students to be more successful because it is a big transition going from high school to college. So we've really, really worked on expanding the number of flexible pathways we have here because we feel it's really important for rural students. They don't have access to things that many people who live in a more urban area have.
Yeah, so just talked a lot about a dual enrollment. That's when you take a college class when you're still in high school. It can be on a college campus online, or sometimes in the high school building they'll have college classes like effective speaking. It's a good option because it's cheaper. It gives high school and college credits, more challenging courses. College classes that have been offered in the past have been psychology, effective speaking, world literature, and statistics. They're not always offered, but those are what we have.
We've actually offered more than that, like chemistry. We've offered other things. It depends on what kids want to take and what the credentials of our teachers are.
This is me. I'm Harley. Right now I'm a junior here, and I go to Cold Hollow for Human Services and Education. With that, I'm getting a CCV credits for Introduction to Human Services and Education. I'm also taking online consumer ec. I'm also an intern as a junior member at the Enosburg Ambulance Station and a cadet on Richford Fire Department. I'm a varsity track and field athlete. I went to Costa Rica in April 2024 with Enosburg and Richford High School and got a humanities credit by doing an ELO. And I went to GIV Health and Medicine and became certified with all basic first aid trainings.
I'm also a flexible options student. I'm currently in medical careers at Cold Hollow Career Center. Through Cold Hollow, I became CPR, seizure, stop bleed certified. I completed HIPAA and mandated reporter training. I am enrolled in CCV, taking Introduction to Healthcare and Human Growth and Development. I'm currently taking online Algebra 2 and Consumers Economics. I'm a member of Richford National Honor Society. I'm a two-sport athlete playing varsity basketball and soccer. And I plan to attend college to become a registered nurse and work at Dartmouth Hospital in New Hampshire.
This is Peyton. Peyton's career interest is teaching and art. Peyton goes to Cold Hollow as a senior. She's taking business leadership and human services and education. She has earned 9 college credits through this. Peyton is an intern at Richford Elementary School and plans to attend college for elementary education and then return to teach at Richford Elementary School. And she wants to use her business skills that she's learned at Cold Hollow to set up an online shop to sell her artwork.
So, over the past 4 years, 10 students have tested off IEPs, which means that we are doing very well at helping our special educated students grow. We've also, over the past 4 years, have had 600 college credits earned. And over 24 industry-recognized credentials have been earned in the past year, and in the past 2 years, 6 Richford students have graduated. 6 Richford graduated. Students have graduated with CDLs from Coal Hollow Career Center.
Your earning potential for these things is increased significantly graduating from high school. If you have your CDL graduating from high school, you're making a lot of money. I just want to say I think I'm the most proud of this one. 10 students are no longer eligible for IEPs. If you're eligible for IEP, it means that there's a difference between most of the time what your IQ is, your learning potential, and your performance. That means that we are teaching kids how to learn. That's our mission. That's our quote. That means we're succeeding. That does not happen in most middle and high schools. So that means the gap is closing, and they are working up to their potential because they're being leaders of their own learning and because our teachers are teaching them how to learn. So I'm very, very proud of the top one. I'm proud of all of them, but I'm very proud of the top one.
So there have been many middle school achievements recently. So earlier I talked about a team of middle school students won the 2025 VPA State Geography Bee.
First time they ever put in a team. Good job, Ms. Martin.
And then a group of students went on the DC trip for their first time with Montgomery students. They fundraised all the money and that covered their entire trip fee. And this year, 13 more kids will be going. That's 18 of students this year. Middle school students also put on a carnival last year. They invited other middle schools, and the students created games and events, and they also made food for those students to have. Who's going next?
So Portrait of a Learner, or POL, is the new grading system for sophomores and freshmen. It's what Richford wants students, or the schools want students to know prior to graduation. It allows for career and college readiness. It allows for other learning opportunities, so the indicators don't have to be earned in a classroom setting. The learning is being acknowledged in other places rather than class. And you do also get a grade for the class, so it's not just the indicator. What is it? Students have a portfolio and richer picture that showcases indicators. They do a reflection showing how they did it, and it is state mandated, so all schools are going to have to do it this way.
That's not exactly true. Portrait of a Learner is not state mandated. It's there. You have to have a portrait of a learner at the state level, but it doesn't have to be implemented the way Franklin Northeast has implemented it. So that's just a slight difference.
I don't need it. We also wanted to make a slideshow to highlight all of our exchange students. So in the past 6 years, we've had 31 exchange students from 10 different countries. These are all the countries I'm in. And this was our group of exchange students from last year. There are 6 of them. So it's just, our school is so small, it's kind of crazy how many exchange students we have. But this is this year. We have Clara from Germany, Sophia from Spain, and Hortense is from France. Yeah.
So I want to tell you a little story about exchange students. I think that's a very unique thing about Richford. And if you walk in the lobby, you'll see all the flags representing all the countries where we've had an exchange student from. And I know that it's a very enriching for our students, but until this summer, I didn't realize the profound impact it had on the students coming to us. And it was almost the start of the school year. And one of my former students called and said, "Miss O'Brien, are you at school?" Because one of the students was in town and she wanted to visit the school. She wanted to see it. And I said, "Yes, sure. Tell her to come on down and I'll give her a tour." So she's going through the rooms and she was talking about all her memories. And then she goes, "Oh, I got to show you something." And she pulled up her sleeve and she has a tattoo. And she goes, "I think you should get this tattoo." And I go, "I don't have any tattoos." But she said, I go, "What is it?" And she said, "It's the coordinates of Richford High School, like latitude and longitude." And she said, and I went, "Wow." And she started to tear up and she said, "I can't tell you what this school and this community has meant for the kids that come here. We just loved it. We loved the opportunity to play sports. And I felt like I wanted to have something to carry that with me." And those of you who know me know I kind of bleed maroon and gold. And so I teared up crying too. And so it just really speaks to the impact that they have on us, because the student who called me graduated in 2020 and they're still friends. They still come here. They still get together. And it is a very enriching experience for everyone. So are you talking about this slide? Okay, so this is, I can't remember what this is called. Word cloud. And what happened was one of the students sent out a survey and said, "What's special about Richford Junior Senior High School?" And the bigger the word, the more responses it got. So you can see that community, supportive, family, respectful, relationships are the big words. And I said at a school board meeting a couple of weeks ago that I'm really proud about a lot of things about this school, but I'm most proud of the culture. I'm proud of, no place is perfect, but I'm proud of the professionalism of our staff, that they'll go above and beyond for every student. I'm proud of the kids and the way they treat each other and they stand up when something isn't going right. And it's a really, really great place to work and to learn. And I'm proud to work with all of you.
Okay, this is the last thing we have. So survey was filled out by a couple of students. I think it was sent out to everyone. But the question was, how do you feel about Richford? And this is the way they answered. So one quote is, the people that are in the school always make others feel wanted. The teachers and their passion for helping students, and the connections we have with our friends and classmates that makes RJSHS such a tight-knit community. That's all we have. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you everyone for listening. And like I said, we have, there's work put out mostly in the lobby areas, in the main lobby, in the bottom lobby, on the third floor. There, in the middle school wing, there's work. There's tasting in the main lobby. The Junior Iron Chef team wants some feedback. So feel free to wander around the building. And at 6:45, we're doing a concert in the gym. We hope that some of you stay for that. And there's still food up there if anybody wants more to eat. Thank you, everyone.
Good evening. This is our second attempt at a winter concert. We tried in December and Mother Nature said, not tonight. So thankfully the weather was much nicer. This is also going to be a little bit of an experiment, doing this in tandem with our exhibition of learning. If Mrs. O'Brien and I decide we like it, we might do it this way next year on purpose this time. You're going to see 4 different groups up here. Behind me right now is our middle school band, which last year was about 7 kids, and this year is very close to 30. We have a couple of staff members who are helping out tonight. Liz Erickson is playing flute and singing, and Mr. Jeremy Sanborn from the elementary school is coming up. He's playing trombone tonight. He's my accompanist for my chorus kids because he's a man of many talents. So big thank you to the 2 of them. And our custodians also helped quite a bit with setup today. Eric Austin in particular helped me move a lot of equipment. So if you're a student and you see him tomorrow, say thank you, especially if you are a band student, as he helped me move most of this equipment down this morning. All right, let's get started. this year are sixth graders. So this was their first performance. We're gonna shrink a little bit. I'm gonna have anyone who's in middle school band go sit, and my high school band is going to come up. And while they're transitioning and my high school getting set up, I'm gonna recognize one of our students in high school band who is going with me tomorrow and Friday. So back-to-back event week. Kenzie Marcy is first chair in our district festival wind ensemble this year. Imagine what this will look like when all those sixth graders hit ninth grade. playing 3 duets for flute and clarinet. I'm not sure if they were quite loud enough for you to hear what they were saying, but it's a whole song about how it's cold and flu season. And they keep getting sicker and sicker and start whining about when you feel cold. And the only part they got really loud enough for is the sneeze at the end. That's the fun part. We're gonna switch to our high school chorus.
Would it be
girls. We have one more piece we're going to do. A few of my band students are going to come back up. A few of the high schoolers. And my middle school chorus is going to come back up. We're going to sing a very old round. I've done this on the last couple of winter concerts. It is a piece called Dona Nobis Pacem. And those are the only 3 words of the song. And all they need is give us peace. So a lot of concerts like to end with a flash and a bang. At least for a winter concert, this is a nice one to send you out. Wishing you a peaceful rest of your night. Hopefully a peaceful rest of your week. And it is in a round, so you're going to hear everyone. You're going to hear everyone together first, and then we're going to split into 3 groups to sing it. If you know this song and would like to sing along, you're more than welcome to. I'm hoping that as the years go by, more of you will hear it every year and start to learn it and be able to sing it. very proud.